Welcome to today's program. I'm Cito Beltran, welcoming you and wishing you a good day on this 30th of March, Wednesday. And I do hope you are all well. Well, we are going to be talking to two guests this morning. And I do hope you join us because first up, we will have a quick interview with Dr. Mingita Padilla regarding her senatorial candidacy. And that will be followed by our interview with Dennis Fronda, Senior Vice President and Head of Retail Loans at the Bank of the Philippine Islands, so that you would have a better understanding of the services provided by banks such as the BPI, particularly with car loans and housing loans. Because marami po sa inyo, matagal nyo nang iniisip yan. Gusto nyo nang mag-level up. But you don't know what are the available options for people like you. So do join us today, and thank you. Thank you for watching Agenda here on One News PH and for being subscribers of Signal TV. And as always, thank you PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet. Magaling talaga kayo from Baguio to Batangas, back to Kapitolyo, walang laylay, walang laglag. Okay, let's go to our daily starter for the day. It's from Jeremiah 15, verse 22. Shall you reign because you enclose yourself in cedar? Did not your father eat and drink and do justice and righteousness? Then it was well with him. I share this blessing with you today because it is a Bible verse that spoke so much to me at the beginning of the year when I was seeking the Lord's wisdom. And the Lord said, do not prioritize becoming rich or getting into business. I have you covered. The same way I covered your father. Hindi niya kinailangang maging bilyonaryo, milyonaryo, but he prioritized was doing his job. And for many of us, that is what we need to do. Prioritize helping others, helping the poor, helping those who don't have a voice. And I guess that will be what we will be talking about with Dr. Mingita Padilla later on. But before that, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star and find out what's in the news. And there you go. Department of Health warns public versus booster overdose. Because there are some who are talking about getting a fourth shot because it's nauuso or being discussed in America and other parts of the world. And some over-eager Filipinos or paranoid Filipinos are talking, magpa-booster shot nga tayo number 4. Please be reminded, hindi na you can have 4 fouls before you foul out. Baka mamaya ninyo, ma-hospital kayo. So that's the warning. Plus also the appeal of the DOH regarding those senior citizens who have had their 2 vaccination shots but have not gone for their booster. Remember, the first one was in the first dose, second dose was insurance, third dose was extension. Baka mamaya hindi kayo extension, kayo naman ang ma-penalty because the dose or the second dose will start to wane by now. Sabi nga nila, 6 months to 1 year, hihina na yan, kailangan yung third dose. Okay. At the top of the Philippine Star front page, China tells Philippines to stop interfering in sea patrol. According to a spokesman of the Chinese government, the Philippine Coast Guard is interfering in legitimate business and sea patrols of their Coast Guard. In other words, inaangkin na nila talaga at sinasabi nilang amin to. Okay. Meanwhile, 5,800 people displaced so far by Taal volcano unrest, okay? And just an appeal to the FIVOLCS na mahirap ma-reach ngayon dahil sobrang busy. We need to talk because there are many tourist operators in Tagaytay City who are appealing. Please make it clear. Please educate the public what the scope or the area of concern is, because marami raw tourists have stopped going to Tagaytay City, and last Saturday when Alert Level 3 was first announced, a lot of guests left Tagaytay City. Sa pool na naman sila. Okay. Now, President Rodrigo Duterte reportedly will be joining PDP Laban Kusi faction in Cebu City for a political rally wherein he will express his support for the PDP Laban candidates. Okay, now that photo in the center spread, you see our commuters lined up at the Taft Avenue station of the MRT 3 waiting to take advantage of the free ride. Meanwhile, DepEd eyes recovery plan on pandemic learning gaps. Inamin na ng DepEd, there are gaps in the learning experience last 2 years because of lockdowns, no face-to-face classes, and so they are planning to come up with remedial measures or corrective measures such as remedial classes, extending the school number of school days, and hiring assistant teachers or aides, teaching aides. Okay, now, Will Smith says sorry to Chris Rock. As I mentioned yesterday, nagkasampalan po during the Oscar Awards, wherein Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, the comedian, because he made a joke regarding the wife of Will Smith. Yan po, no? Always think of the consequences of your action. Meanwhile, politics to be kept out of ayuda and other assistance provided by government. The DPWH, the DILG, and the COMELEC have all agreed not to allow any politics or political messaging or influencing to come into their giving of ayuda to our kababayans. Meanwhile, DOJ to prioritize probe of vote buying complaints. Yan po, sabi po ng Department of Justice, bibigyan nila ng highest priority ang complaints regarding vote buying. Ang sagot ko, unahin nyo munang hanapin at kung tapusin yung investigasyon regarding the 34 missing sabongeros. Wala pa naman, walang mangyayaring vote buying kasi nabili na ang eleksyon sa maraming lugar. All you have to do is check those who are running unopposed. Okay, that's the front page of the Philippine Star today. Let's go to our first guest na nasa Zamboanga City, none other than senatorial aspirant Dr. Mingita Padilla. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Sito, at good morning to everybody watching. Yes, hello from Zamboanga.
Okay, I have to confess that I was pleasantly surprised when people were praising you for your performance during the debate, senatorial debate, and said, may alam pala yung Ale tungkol sa politika, sa gobyerno, etc., etc. Because for the last 30 or so years, you have primarily been known as an ophthalmologist, as someone who's been promoting the eye bank, corneal transfer, etc. Now, may I ask, how did you get into the senatorial run?
Yeah, alam nyo, Sito, many people don't know so many things about me. They forget that I'm the daughter of a Supreme Court Justice, and all my life, we have been discussing policy, law. I learned at the foot of my father. So kahit doktor ako, Even my iBank, I had to learn how to make legislation, how to write laws, how to help with the writing of laws. I've been, for 27 years, I've been ako ay isang consultant ng Department of Health and consultant of many senators and many congressmen and technical working committee member of many laws. Kaya laws, making laws and legislation is not new to me. Now, how did I get here? Alam mo, I like what you read kanina, yung biblical passage. No? You don't fulfill God's will by hiding and staying in one place. No, there's a certain time in your life you have to be called. You are called to somewhere else to go beyond your comfort zone, and that's what happened to me. I have been asked to join the Senate race since the 1990s. I keep saying no, but this time maybe because of the pandemic, because of continuous frustration also of being a health advocate, but being limited in what I can do. Being limited because hanggang dyan ka lang. I feel that I can still do much more for the country if I try to, as a senator, because I'll have some bit more power. Instead of just advocating, I will have some say into the actual crafting of laws and oversight. Because we have so many laws, Ito, but they're not
Mhm.
being implemented properly. And not only in health, even in education, even in farming. Grabe, sa farming.
Mhm.
People are shocked at how much I know about so many things because my mind is very broad, no? And I really have this desire to help more people. And I prayed very hard about it, Sito. And I was very afraid. But eventually, it's like a calling you cannot turn your back on. And I told my mother, who was so against at first, she said, ano ka ba, nasisiraan ka na ba ng bayan, no? Papasok ko dyan, gulo-gulo ng buhay na yan. I said, ma, I said, if I don't do this now, I will regret it the rest of my life. And the only thing worse than failure is regret. Hence, I have to try. At alam mo, Sito, yung nangyari sa SMNI debate, I didn't expect that reaction. I just did my best. No? And
Mhm.
it shows you also that the public is also thirsting for people maybe like me. No? Ibang klase. Hindi yung typical na professional politician, but tao na tumulong na sa bayan, nagsilbi na, pero gusto magsilbi pa sa mas malawak na paraan in a broader way.
Mhm.
And my only prayer to God when I accepted this challenge, his invitation to run, was please send me people who can help me. Yun lang naman. And so far, it has happened. So I'm here for a reason. Win or lose, I'm here for a reason. So that's why I'm here. I
Okay,
want to help them.
I was looking at some of the priority platforms that you have, and it says there, fix PhilHealth, implement the universal healthcare program, etc. And it just reminded me of a statement made by Harry Roque, who's also running for senator.
Yeah.
And I hope I didn't misunderstand his statement. But in effect, I got the impression that if he became senator, his first priority would be to dissolve PhilHealth and come up with a new body, a new agency to replace it. Kumbaga, sa parang sobrang talamak na raw ang corruption doon sa kanya, isara na lang yung PhilHealth at palitan ng iba. What's your reaction to that?
Alam mo, Sito, I share Harry's frustration with PhilHealth. And I was one of those who kept calling out and calling attention to the corruption and to the anomalies. Ako naman, I will try to overhaul muna before I give up and say, buwagin at palitan. There are 6,000 employees in PhilHealth. So what will you do with the 6,000 employees? No? Although I know that when they filed the Universal Healthcare Act in Congress, and Harry Roque was the primary author of the first version. The original version was change buwagin ang PhilHealth and replace it with another agency. Now, so that the good ones in PhilHealth could be retained in that new agency and the ones who are bad eggs could be removed. And I understand his frustration. Ako naman, there are certain things in the UHC law. Hence, again, I'm going to do an immediate oversight of those two laws, UHC and PhilHealth law, that have to be changed immediately. And because they're allowing all these anomalies to thrive. It's very porous, no? And it allows so many anomalies to thrive. I am open to still overhauling. But if we see that the ombudsman is not going after the corrupt in PhilHealth because their cases have been filed, but they're not moving. And see, it's all interconnected, Sito.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting, Dr. Padilla, because you said you grew up on the lap of your father, who was a justice of the Supreme
Yes.
Court. And it's interesting. Is the institution the problem, or is it because no one has actually been sent to jail? Because
Yes.
you know that I've also, worked with people from PhilHealth through about four administrations. And I just kind of step back now and I say to myself, all the accusations about corruption, but no one goes to jail. And that, in fact, to echo what your presidential candidate Ping Lacson is saying, there are more than enough laws. The
Yes.
problem is the implementation of the laws and that
Agree.
nobody goes to jail.
Agree. That is why I was saying everything is interconnected. If you are in legislation, you don't just keep making laws. An important part is the oversight. How is it being implemented, if being implemented at all? And this resolve of mine, this view of mine has been strengthened as I go around Sito, no?
Mhm.
PhilHealth is just one. Tama si Senator Lacson, no? At tama ang you have to make sure the people who do the wrong things are held accountable. Alam niyo, there was one very, very celebrated case in 2013, no? Yung, I won't anymore mention the company, that the money being paid as premiums wasn't going to the treasury. It was going to the accounts of other people. But
Mhm.
nobody was put to jail. Nobody was
Mhm.
put to jail. 150 million. And
Okay.
what happened was that pinawalan pa yung isa, allowed to escape the country, a slap on the wrist. How do you now discipline and how do you now impose justice, exact justice like this? So nothing will happen. So I would believe when we do our oversight, we have to hold the ombudsman accountable because there have to be people who will go to jail. Okay? Because if you do not have that, then you will never reform the system, even if you transfer to the Department of Finance, etc. Because there are many things you can do. For example, the people running PhilHealth have to be qualified. You cannot just have anybody running PhilHealth. You have to have people
Mhm.
who know something about health finance, at least. No? And it's in the law, stipulated in the law. It's not being followed. It's not being implemented the way it should be. But
Okay.
as far as corruption is concerned, they have to be held accountable.
You mentioned the Office of the Ombudsman, that it should be subject to oversight. It must be held accountable. From what I understand, they're constitutionally protected. They are
Yeah.
an independent body. How exactly can the Senate hold the Office of the Ombudsman accountable or force them into a corner where they either do their job correctly or none at all?
Well, we can act. I know they're an independent body, but well, Congress as a whole can impeach. Can impeach, no? But
Mhm.
you have to also have a president who's serious about corruption. But because if the president will protect an ombudsman, will protect the president or his people, then nothing will happen. So it has to start from the top. It has
Well,
to start from the
I
top.
have to say I'm impressed with your answer because no one has, and forgive my language, but no one has had the balls to say the word impeachment
Yes.
regarding the ombudsman. They kind of tread the water slightly when it comes to that conflict.
No, because Sito, you see, and aside from that, I think we have to let the people realize the gravity of the crimes being heard in the ombudsman. They have, when you talk about money, I realize, no, when you talk about so much money, that is 700 billion at least is lost every year to corruption. See, those 700 billion to 1 trillion of the budget is lost to corruption. People cannot fathom, anong ibig sabihin ng 700 million? Hindi nga sila they haven't even seen 100,000, most people. 700 billion. You equate it to how many hospitals it can build, how much medicine, how many people it can feed, how many houses it can build. Then people realize, so why are these people not being punished? Why is the ombudsman not moving? That ombudsman is accountable to the people. I think if you present it in that manner, we may be pressured to move. And if the ombudsman does not move, because we have to now equate it with what the people must expect and deserve from our government. Because too much that is corruption. See, the world is already nagkakagulo na yung mundo. The world is in chaos. It's very, very dangerous times. And people in government should stop thinking of themselves. They should start thinking about the people they're there to serve, and
Mhm.
instead of
Okay.
self-preservation and protection. So
You,
I think impeachment is one way. Also, budget, withholding budget unless you deliver is another way. We have
okay.
the power of the purse, so there are many things we can do.
Clearly, you haven't said it in a full sentence, but clearly you are strongly uh, how do you call it, suggesting or proposing a strong anti-corruption pro-campaign that is intended to send people to jail. So maganda yan. Now, the question here is, as you go around the Philippines, you're now in Zamboanga, nakaka-relate ba ang tao kay Minggita Padilla? Because I think that's also the other problem. I mean, down in Zamboanga perhaps, because maraming tisay dyan, maraming mistisa dyan, mapuputing tao. But when you go around, nakaka-relate ba sila regarding all of these high ideals that you talk about?
Actually, Sito, nakaka-relate sila kasi pag nagsasalita, pinipili ko naman I choose, no? Pinipili ko yung aking audience. Depende kung saan ang pangangailangan. Kasi alam mo yung platform ko, can I speak in Tagalog or English?
Go ahead.
Kasi yung platform ko, if you will notice, kasama yung mga isda, magsasaka. No? And I have talked to a lot of audience na mga isda at magsasaka, and they understand where I'm coming from. No? We have to protect our farmers and our fisher folk. Food security and health security. Siguro yung aking plataforma, health security, pero food security, very important. Yung mga smuggling, naintindihan nila yun. Yung anti-smuggling. Yung nagdadala ng mga gulay na meron naman tayong masasarap na gulay galing Benguet. Alam mo, I have relatives in Benguet, in the mountain province, and talagang they're really hurting from the smuggling. Yung Rice Tarification Act, bakit ganon? It was supposed to help the local rice farmers. How come it's not helping them? What can we do to amend it so that it gets to do what it's supposed to do? Oversight na naman yan, yung implementation ng batas. No? So nakaka-relate sila kasi ako pa naman, when I talk to a certain audience, I also adjust to what I feel they need. Kung mga doktor ang kausap ko, I let them ask me questions, and many of them ang problema. Lagi PhilHealth. PhilHealth talaga ang problema ng doktor at hospital. Pero ito naman sa mga MSMEs, yung mga micro, small, and medium scale enterprise, I know about the Bambi Law. I know what we need to help them kasi gusto ko ho, yung mga maliliit na mga negosyante, mga sari-sari store, yung mga backyard hog racers, yung mga ganon, handicrafts, we have laws that are supposed to help them para hindi na sila maging maliit, para lumaki ang ating middle class. I also know those laws and I have ideas how I can help them. So, namipili ako ng topic.
Okay, could you, kasi I don't have forever with you dahil nangangampanya ka, you're on the road, but could you at least share at least 5 programs or legislations or 5 action goals that you have na makaka-relate yung mga nasa Forbes at nandoon sa Forbes Gillage, sa mga gilid ng mga private communities?
Okay. First of all, syempre, yung kalusugan, yung PhilHealth, alam natin yun. No? I know PhilHealth like the back of my hand. No? So we need to reform it, overhaul it. Kasi kung wala tayong PhilHealth, hindi mangyayari gusto natin sa universal healthcare. Ano lang, simple lang. Libreng maintenance meds sa barangay. That's part of UHC. Libreng pag-hospital sa public hospital for the most common ailments, and abot kayo or affordable healthcare sa private hospital. Without that, without a good national health insurance system, it will not be a reality. So that's very relatable. Mayaman ka man o mahirap. In fact, maraming beses I ask the people in the audience, sino dito may high blood? Taas ang kamay. Sino may diabetes? Taas ang kamay. Sino may ganito? O sino gusto ng libreng maintenance medicines? Lahat sila, syempre. Mayaman man o mahirap. Rich or poor. Same aspirations. Then we have the pandemic preparedness. Alam mo, Sito, we need to be prepared for the coming pandemics. No? We need to have Pandemic Preparedness Act. Again, affects everybody. And this includes vaccines, being able to manufacture vaccines, improving generics, having a playbook. Meron tayong playbook. Dapat natuto na tayo sa mga mistakes or sa mga lessons nitong pandemya na ito. So we have a playbook. So we will not be again yung nabubulabog when it happens again. Okay? Now, the third one is mental health of the youth. Mental health is a very big problem. Wherever I go, I have youth groups talk to me and they tell me, Doktora, ang problema namin mental health kasi nahihiya kami sabihin, but depressed kami, anxious kami. Imagine being a young person now, you have 2 years of lockdown, you don't see your friends, many people are dying, parang gera, no? Tapos yung parents mo, baka one of them lost his job, her job. You are in a state of, it's a state of universal mourning ang tawag dito, and you have nobody to talk to. So now I'm working with some groups, with apps, na hindi mo kailangan ng internet, na if you have a mental health, if you feel you're getting to this point, no, i-press mo lang yung button, I need help, back. And then we go to the barangay healthcare workers sa Pato. Sila ang mga frontliners for all seasons. No? And we need to uplift the barangay healthcare workers, give them benefits, give them true honorarium, hindi lang yung allowance. No? And I have to refile the Magna Carta for barangay healthcare workers. It passed in the lower house, but not in the Senate. So we need a law, because if you improve and uplift and empower your barangay healthcare system, then even if you have a next pandemic, it will not overwhelm also the hospitals, because they'll know what to do below. Okay, so that involves a lot of things. It's in the Magna Carta, and then the farmers and the fisher folk. No, the Rice Tarification Act. We have to review that Rice Tarification Act. There's a 35% tax on imported rice. I said, can we bring that higher? Hindi daw, kasi that's ASEAN. There's one part of that law which is not being implemented. Yung tinatawag na Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. Yung dapat pala, yung tax na galing dun sa importation ng rice, mapunta for mechanizing farming, for educating our farmers, for making them competitive. It is not being done. I had a dialogue with the rice millers and rice farmers. It is not being done. So we need to make sure that this law actually empowers our farmers. It will not just make the negosyante rich. Kasi yung nangyayari, import ng import. Kasi yung mayaman ng mga negosyante. Itong mga rice farmers na pababayaan, because the other part of the law is not being implemented. So it has not achieved what it's supposed to achieve. I can go on and on. These are all laws which apply. Isa pa, yung motorcycle taxi laws. No? Yung angkas, for example. They're concerned because I don't think it has been signed into law. I think it passed in the lower house, but wala pa sa Senate, as far as I know. So we need to study now the role of motorcycle taxis, even motorcycle ambulances, like in other countries, because of the realities of our traffic system. We need a mass transportation system. That's true. How long will it take to get there? No? And then the work from home, the pandemic lessons. No? I think kalokohan to force the BPOs to go back to buildings when they can work from home. Because one is, you saw, you have to again connect this to environmental climate change. You work from home, less traffic, less gasoline, less pamasahe. Okay, then you have cleaner air, less traffic. Then you can also work from the provinces. You also encourage businesses to go to the provinces. There's more economy is enlivened. And you can spend quality time with your family. So we have to now learn from the work from home. We can have to incorporate it as part already of our business transactions. Let's not force them to go back to what does not work. Okay.
Well, I'm abiding by our house rules. You have exactly 1 minute before they drag you out of your room to go on the campaign trail. Ang hirap, ano? Kanya hindi ko pinatulan yan. 2 beses akong inalok, hindi ko pinatulan yung pinasukan mo, Dr. Padilla. But I give you a minute to address our viewers. Maging mayaman, maging mahirap, you are clearly giving a new look, fresh option. Please address our viewers regarding why they should vote for you.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Thank you very much. No? Ako po si Dr. Minggita Padilla, isang doktora for 34 years na po. Pero hindi lang ho ako limitado sa medisina o sa kalusugan. Malawak ko ang pagkakaintindi ko, ang aking understanding, at ang aking desire or talagang kagustuhan na makasilbi sa mas malawak na paraan. Meron po akong kakayahan, meron po akong utak, at meron po akong puso. Sinasabi ko palagi sa mga tao, pipili po tayo ng mga bagong leader ho na may utak at puso. Pwede may utak, walang puso. Pwede may puso, walang utak. Hindi mo pwede. Because grabe, malalaho ang sitwasyon ng bayan, malalaho ang sitwasyon ng buong mundo. Let's think of the next generation. At ako po ay nag-aalay ng aking sarili po sa inyong lahat bilang isang alternative na aalagaan kayo at ipaglalaban ho kayo. Ito po si
Okay.
Dr. Minggita Padilla, number 48 sa Balota. Magandang araw sa inyong lahat.
Okay, parang kabisado na. Pero kami na mag-e-endorse sa'yo, Dr. Minggita Padilla. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
and please stay safe during the campaign. And we do hope that the Lord will bless your endeavor wherever it leads you, wherever it takes you. I know that God has a plan for you, and His plans are to protect you, to prosper you, and not to harm you. God bless you, Dr. Padilla. Have a good day.
Thank you, Cito. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay, that's Dr. Minggita Padilla, number 48 on the ballot, running for Senator of the Philippines. Ayan po, you have heard her views, and siguro it is about time for us to consider consider alternatives, new faces, new voices. Pag kayo po ay pumili, huwag niyo sabihin, hindi, mayaman yan, hindi, babae yan. Kasi ang dami ko pong nadinig, ang dami kong nadidinig. Kasi babae ayaw iboto. Hello, paano kaya kung yung nanay mo na yon? Malamang at malamang iboto ninyo, di ba? Kung anak niyo yung kandidato, iboboto ninyo. And so, wag po tayong pipili base sa kasarian. Kala nyo, hindi ko alam yung sa Tagalog, gender. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, listen up. Bring out your pens, your pencils, your paper, or your phones, and take notes, because we will try to understand what does it take, what are the steps, and why should we take out loans from the banks, particularly Bank of the Philippine Islands, here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you and expressing our gratitude that you are joining us again today. And at this point of our program, let's bring in our lecturer, our guest lecturer for regarding bank loans, financing, etc. We have with us a graduate from the St. Louis University in Baguio City. He graduated graduated BS Accountancy in 1994, and by 1995, he had become the Senior Vice President of BPI, and now he is Senior Vice President and Head of Retail Loans BPI, none other than Mr. Dennis Fronda. Dennis, welcome to the program.
Hi, Cito. Good morning, and good morning to all your listeners. First time I got referred to as a lecturer, Cito.
Okay, well, you know me, I believe in volunteering people into jobs I cannot do. In any case, Dennis, thank you for joining us today. And the reason, this is of a personal interest of mine, because I have seen so many people, I guess people like me also, who will never go to a bank to get a bank loan. And yet, in hindsight, when I look at my many friends who are in business, who are on the go, they are, they casually say, oh, I took out a loan, or I went to the bank, I got a bank loan for a housing, for a business, etc. And sabi ko, kakatakot naman yung ginagawa ninyo. So siguro to educate ignorant people like me, or people who don't know if they should or should not, could you please give us a lecture today, Professor Fronda?
Yes, Cito. Yeah, very, very true yung sinasabi mo. No? A lot of our fellow Filipinos are apprehensive to go to banks, to borrow money. I don't know kung dahil sa suot namin, but guys, we're also people, and we're only here to help you. And one of those helps we can provide is for you to be able to borrow money now so that you can enjoy your dream car or your dream homes. So instead of you, for example, paying rent for your properties, why not go to a bank, take out a loan if you can afford the monthly amortization, which we will help you assess. Then take out a loan by all means, and then you get to enjoy the property and pay it over several years. So there's no really stress on paying it in a short period of time. Banks like BPI provide a lot of solutions, such as extending the terms so that we match your paying capacity to be able to afford these loans.
Okay, Dennis, is it a good time to even talk and think about taking out loans in the banks? Kasi on one hand, people tell me, nako Sito, ang hirap kumuha ng loan sa bangko. Sobrang higpit dahil marami daw doubtful ang capacity to pay, or because economy is so unstable. And all the senatorial candidates, presidential candidates, and experts keep saying that the economy is going to be battered or in such bad shape that banks are just being very cautious. But on the other hand, some people are saying naman, nako, baka mamaya hindi ko mabayaran yan, mamaya kung saan pa ako pulutin. Is it a good time to be talking about bank loans?
Well, Cito, it depends on the need of the person and, of course, the capacity. So in BPI, we also promote responsible borrowing. So it's not like everyone who comes into the bank borrows money, we lend. So we take a look at their financial capacity, we take a look at their situation, and we give them advice. So if we find that it's not merited, we help them. We give them professional advice. On the other hand, if a borrower comes in, they have, for example, loans or borrowings that are due because of properties or condominiums that they acquired several years back, then we help them and assess their properties. Because alam mo, Sito, for some of these projects, the lump sum, meaning tapos na yung equity payment nila, yung down payment nila. So ngayon, they're due for the lump sum already. And that's where we come in. We help them extend their loan further. So it depends on the need of the person. So kung meron siyang obligations coming up, then we're here to help them.
Paano ba ninyo pino-profile? How do you profile a potential client? Kasi some people have said, nako pare, kung 60 years old above ka, wala na, tabla ka na. Yeah, you are less likely to get a bank loan, or if you are a first job, don't even dream of applying for a car loan, etc.
Yeah. Well, Sito, not really, because when we profile, di ba, we check, of course, primarily on the capacity of the borrower. Dapat meron siyang capacity to pay the monthly amortization. And the easiest or the fastest way for example, our fellow Filipinos to assess is if for a third or 40% of their gross monthly income should be allocated for the monthly for the servicing of their monthly amortization. So yung balance nun, it's for their personal expenses, their daily expenses. So that's the rough estimate that most banks use. So a third of their income should be allocated for income. So kung kaya ng sweldo, ng income mo na you can allocate 35%, then we're here to help you. So that's first. Second, of course, we have to assess the industry where you're in. And if it's a stable one, lalo na ngayon, di ba, economy is opening up, restrictions are minimized, and we're now able to lend to more industries. And then, of course, thirdly, we take a look at the property or the collateral that you are offering. So very, very simple actually. Walang dapat ikatakot sa mga kababayan.
So computein mo kung yung sweldo mo kaya mong mabuhay na 60 to 65% lang ang mapupunta sa iyo neto, tapos yung 30% ipambabayad mo na doon sa utang sa bangko or uutangin. So kumbaga 70-30 as they say, no? Is that correct?
Yep, tama yan, Sito. So that's the easiest way to compute for that.
70-30 kung sweldo lang ang pinag-uusapan. Ngayon, itong collateral, kasi my wife pointed out to me, you might not realize it, sweetie pie, but there is a law where you can use future value as collateral. Paki-explain mo nga ano yung mga collateral. Kasi alam mo, nung kapanahunan ko, pag umutang ka sa bangko, 2 times the value of what you are borrowing ang required collateral. Ganun pa ba up to now?
No, not really, Sito. Pagkasasakyan naman, di ba, we base it on the standard retail price of the units. And on the average, we lend up to 80%. For a real estate property, depende kung vacant lot, it's a house and lot, or a condominium, we can lend up to as much as even 90% right now, Sito. So, very, very easy. So you only need to shell out around 10 to 20% as equity for a property.
Okay, now sabihin natin, uutang, kasi yung kotse, madali naman yun di ba? Usually, the company will help the employee, etc., etc. Now, let's go to the housing or property loans now. Meron bang yung profile, sabi mo, basta if the person has a job or a source of income, if they have a collateral, but what about the terms? Terms versus age. Kasi sabi, buhay ka pa ba at pagdating ng panahon na yun?
Yeah. Our average term right now, Sito, is anywhere from 10 to 20 years. We're
for housing.
For housing, we're actually looking at programs to even extend this further. And then earlier you mentioned, di ba, 60 years old, baka hindi ka na makahiram. Well, for BPI, we've relaxed that and even extended the age upon maturity at around 70 years old. So, alam naman natin na people are getting healthier, thinking healthier, thinking stronger, which is why we've extended that already all the way to 70 years old.
Okay, so pag pumunta sa'yo, 70 years old, papautangin mo pa?
Upon maturity on, Sito. So dapat, kung halimbawa 60 years old ka, you apply for a loan, we can grant 10 up to 10 years. But of course, on a case-to-case basis, depende sa condition ng humihiram. At saka may co-borrower, halimbawa somebody from the family who's much younger, we also consider that in our evaluation.
Kumbaga, dapat kung matanda na si tatay, baka naman si Mrs. Daisy kayang bayaran. Basta may magbabayad, may masisingil, may magbabayad.
That's true, Sito. So we take a look at also so it's a family income. So hindi lang naman yung lalaki halimbawa ang tinitingnan natin. So if the wife is also employed, then kasama yun din sa binanggit mo kanina na 70-30 or 65-35. So it's a combined income.
So jointly, pwedeng pati anak, pwedeng the son, the daughter, the wife, and the husband can all be co-borrowers because all four have jobs and they can all be part of it.
They have to sign as co-borrowers, so they're all obligated to loan. Yes, Sito.
Okay. Yep. So what about, you were talking about extending the terms from 10 to 20 to 30 years even. Kasi sa credit card o sa mga commercial credits, yung mga sa appliance, etc., diba? 0 interest, happy na sila. Pero may iba, 24 months to pay. Pag yung katulad sa telepono, 24 months to pay nga, binayaran mo naman kada month yung interest.
Yeah, well, Sito, syempre, imamatch namin yan dun sa collateral mo, di ba? A housing loan has longer value, longer residual value. So we can lend up to 20 years. Pag sasakyan naman, on the average, 5 years maximum ang ating term. So pag appliance, syempre, mas mabilis ang wear and tear. So shorter ang term niyan.
Ayun pala yung logic dan. Kasi hindi ko talaga naintindihan yun. Sabi ko, bakit pag kotse, 5 years lang, pag lupa, 20 years, etc. Now, so the more use a product has and the more wear and tear, the shorter the credit terms. Now, okay, doon sa kotse, let's start with the cars. No? How does one go applying for a car loan and what's it like? Ano ba yung setup?
Yeah, well, Sito, di ba, right now, whenever people look for a car, they can either go to any of the dealerships nationwide. But what they don't know is that they can also go directly to a bank and apply for a loan first, and then we'll help them source out a unit. So, of course, we have several solutions. Pagka nasa dealership ka, meron yung tinatawag natin na low cash out option. Pag sa banko naman, we have a low monthly amortization option. So several loan solutions. So aside from the dealerships, I mentioned the banks, and with BPI, you can also apply online at the convenience of your own home. So very, very many options.
Kasi for car loans, ladies and gentlemen, this is not just for people who love cars, because I have many I have many friends who are in business, lalo na yung mga Filipino-Chinese na magagaling sa finance, and they're telling me, Kuya, kinar loan na lang namin. Kasi may cash flow naman kami, pagkatas gagamitin naman sa kumpanya yan, after 5 years, zero value na yung sasakyan, nabayaran na yung utang, para ka lang nag-rent ng sasakyan. So is that true, Dennis?
Yes, Sito, especially for those who are involved in business and who use the car or the auto that they loan for the business. So it pays for itself actually. So tama yung mga kaibigan natin who says that they take out a loan, it's more wise to do so, and the income pays for itself already.
Okay, Dennis, what's the defining line? Kasi some of the people I know in the automotive industry, it seems that for cars that are below 1 million, parang ang default is almost negligible or zero. Madaling nababayaran. But beyond the 1 million line, parang sinasabi nila, meron ka ng 5%, 10% na mga nagdi-default, etc. As far as BPI is concerned, what's the value defining line?
Well, Sito, it's not actually based on the asset cost. What we observe is it's on the term. So in our books, usually we see if people default, they come in around the 15 to 18 months period. So pag nakatawid ka niyan, more or less, we're confident already that you can pay for the entire term. So it's not on the value. We don't see the value of the car as something that, as you mentioned, results to either delinquency or not. Kasi whenever we assess naman, for example, a first car buyer, a first person in his job, di man namin bibigyan kagad ng 2 million plus na auto loan, di ba? We match it to the profile. Tutulungan din namin siya. So we take a look at their income. So pag pare ko, baka sedan muna, first car sedan, enjoy it.
Kumbaga, hello, magtrabaho ka muna, no? Ako nga, 60 plus years old na ako, wala pa akong brand new car. Anyway, may nagtatanong dito, okay, can you get a car loan for a second-hand car?
Yes, Sito, you can. We also offer financing for second-hand.
Paano?
The car must be not more than 5 years old. So, of course, since it's not based on an SRP, the bank will have to appraise, and we will base the loan amount on the appraised value of the car.
How do you do that? Pasensya ka na, Dennis, no?
Yeah.
Kasi maski ako, na-curious ako bigla eh. How do you determine the value of a second-hand car, and how many percent of the value does BPI usually cover?
Yeah, well, we have licensed appraisers and evaluators who does that, Sito, and of course they do research based on market. Several websites now as resources when they do their valuation. And
Oo.
whenever we come up with a valuation, usually we finance up to 80% depending of the age of the unit. And but more importantly, pag sa bangko nila inutang yon, Sito, tutulungan namin silang to conduct a car history. So we go to the different LTO agencies to make sure that the unit they're buying is legitimate, meaning hindi siya hot car.
Okay. So,
So
what about mileage? Kasi may mga tao na talaga halos hindi
heavy.
gamit yung
Yeah.
kotse. Meron
Uh-huh.
namang mga tao na daily driver yung kotse. Is there a mileage rule at BPI na okay, yung second-hand car, we finance that. Pero pag ang takilya mo ay several thousand or 100,000
Correct.
plus, sorry.
Yeah. No, very good question, Sito. But when we do the valuation, that's already considered. So, syempre, pag mataas ang mileage yan, we do certain deductions. So, kasama na yan when we evaluate a car, when we
So it
fix a
doesn't
car.
necessarily mean na marireject nyo, pero
No.
baka
Yeah.
babawasan nyo lang yung pautang.
Correct. Tama yan, Sito. So, the appraised value of the car might be lower if the mileage is really high.
Okay, now, paano, Professor Fronda, paano if let's say, kunyari, ako na lang, no, umutang ako sa'yo, and then after, it's a 5-year loan kamo, and then I decide, oh, may konti akong windfall dito, or may nabenta ako, etc. Can someone walk to the bank and said, Boss, can I
Yeah.
just terminate everything and pay you na in cash, and will it be a good move?
Yes, Sito, if there's still a long amount of time remaining, then we accept re-termination. They don't have to pay for the interest of the term that they won't be able to use. So makakatipid sila ng interest.
Walang
definitely.
penalty kasi alam mo may mga iba ako nakikita na I don't know if I just misread it, pero parang there will always be a penalty for parang sa telepono kasi mga
Yeah.
buwisit na mga cellphone na yan di ba? There is a fine for preterm terminating.
So it's not really pre-termination, Sito. It's a minimal service fee. Kasi di ba, remember when pag pinahiram namin yung pera, let's say on day 1, we match it versus a corresponding deposit. Kasi that's where we get naman the money we lend out. And when we do that, we fix the rate already. For example, ikaw, we fix your rate for the 5 years and then we look for a loan to match that deposits. So it's a minimal service fee, but depending on the bank, some may have it, some may not have it.
Okay, now you mentioned about rates. Ano ba yung yung mga current rates for bank loans, for cars, and for property?
Yeah, for now's a good time, Sito. Medyo mababa pa rin ang rate natin. It hasn't increased for the past several months or even years, I think. So for a home loan, our published rate right now is 7.25% for 5 years. That's fixed for 5 years, so very good rate. For auto loan, I think mas kabisado ng mga tao ang add-on rate, di ba? Pero it's around the vicinity of 28% to 30% for the 5 years already. So
Total,
very affordable.
Sandali, total or per annum? Mabuti na yun.
For auto, that's the total already, Sito.
28% add-on divided by 5 years.
That's the easiest way to look at it, of course.
Tama ba yun? Pasensya ka na. Alam mo ko, may master's degree ako in math. Math 11, take 7.
Yeah, if the simplest way is ganyan. But of course, when it's diminishing balance naman eh. So anything
Okay.
they pay goes to interest.
Okay. Kasi after the first year, yung interest na lang for
Palit ng
4
palit.
years.
Yeah,
Kumbaga palit ng palit. Okay,
Very true.
paano, Dennis, kung natigok? What happens if the borrower dies?
Yeah, for home loans, there's what we call a mortgage redemption insurance. So we
Okay.
encourage, and actually we mandate it to our borrowers para naman pag yun nga, nasabi mo, may nangyari sa primary borrower, hindi mag-sacrifice yung mga natira, and the insurance will pay for the remaining balance.
Okay, and who pays for that insurance? The borrower?
Yes, it's tucked into their monthly amortization, but Sito, very, very affordable. Napakaliit. So they won't even
Like
notice.
usually how much?
That depends on the loan amount and the age of the borrower. Of course, we have to assess it. Kasi,
Okay, no, because Dennis, I need to know that because or well, not me, no, but people need to know this kasi marami, one of the reasons that stop people from borrowing.
yeah.
Paano pag namatay si Papa, si Kuya o si Mami, pag namatay, sino sa atin ang magbabayad ng utang? Yung pala, there is, well, I've heard of it already, but mabuti yung nalalaman ng viewers natin that pag umutang sa bangko, sa BPI, it's included kasama sa usapan na may insurance na pag namatay yung principal borrower, yung insurance na yon covers the value of the bank's loan.
Yes, that's for housing loans, Sito. For auto
Okay.
loans, of course, kasi short-term siya, we don't have that yet covered, but we're taking a look at it. Initially, it will be too costly. That's why we haven't really introduced it yet, but that's one of the options we're taking a look at to help our borrowers, siyempre.
Okay, what about medyo I'm digressing, no, Dennis, but nandito na
Sure.
rin because when you buy a laptop now, lalo na yung mga iMac, mga ganon, 100,000 plus. Ang mga telepono ay mga, well, siyempre hindi naman mga ito pa pipitsugin, hindi patakbuhin. But it can go as much as 45,000, etc. The appliance that you actually need. What about those? Does BPI have such loan facilities for appliances and necessary equipment such as computers?
Yeah, Sito, we do have personal loans for such kinds of acquisitions or through their credit cards. So you can visit any of the appliance centers nationwide, use your BPI credit card, and you can actually pay extended terms on that one. Gaya ng banggit mo kanina, pwede pa nga 0% for some of them, di ba? For most of them actually, offer 0%.
Pero totoo ba yun, Dennis, na 0% talaga? Kasi some people are telling me, binubola lang kayo niya, naka-tuck-in na yan, naka-include na yan, nakatago yan sa loob ng presyo.
Yeah. No, it's really 0% Sito kasi kung bibili ka ng 20,000, you pay it in 24 months, divide it by 24, eksakto yung babayaran mo. You only pay interest if you don't pay your minimum, when you only pay minimum at the end of your due date on your credit cards.
Okay, well, Dennis, thank you so much for being with us today and giving us at least added information. Kasi alam mo, mas madaling manood sa TV kaysa sa pumunta sa bangko eh. Haba ng pila, tapos magtatanong ka lang kung paano umutang. But meron bang mga online guides ang BPI where we can go online and educate ourselves regarding bank loans?
Yeah, meron Sito. You just visit bpiloans.com. Pwede kang mag-apply ng loan through that. And nabanggit mo kanina, habang nanonood ka ng TV, habang pinapanood ninyo ang agenda mga kaibigan, you can already open an account at the comfort of your homes actually. So just using your mobile, pwede ka na mag-open. So hindi mo na kailangan pumila sa bangko, Sito.
Okay, well, just mabuti na yung nagtatanong. Anyway, thank you very much, Dennis, and all your inputs are much appreciated today. If you have any else to tell our viewers, please go ahead.
Well, I'm happy to be here, Sito. Thanks for having BPI this morning. Sa ating mga kababayan, wag po kayong matakot lumapit sa bangko upang magtanong whether it's regarding loans, investments, credit cards, or any other bank products. We're here to help you, and lalo na sa BPI, we have more than 800 branches, capable officers and staff to support and answer your questions. And of course, aside from that, you can do that at the convenience of your own home now via BPI Loans at Home.
Okay,
so, maraming salamat ulit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dennis Fronda, Senior Vice President, Retail Loans for BPI, Bank of the Philippine Islands. Now let's go to our week's blessing, our Irish blessing. And may the raindrops fall lightly on your brow. May the soft winds freshen your spirit. May the sunshine brighten your heart. May the burdens of the day rest lightly upon you. And may God enfold you in the mantle of His love. And that's today's agenda. Please take care of yourselves. Please express your love for those who have been loving you. And God bless you. Please keep it here on One News PH.